It looks like the Megalodon is long gone. Well, what would happen if it was still with us today? Many people claim to have spotted the prehistoric giant in modern times, but actually finding any confirmation is pretty tricky. There are many reasons why this creature didn't make it into the modern world. What would life actually be like with these things swimming around in our oceans? Well, for starters, food would be very hard to come by. The biggest Megalodon sharks could grow up to 58 feet in length, so you can only imagine how much food they would need to survive. Of course, there are other creatures that are still alive today that are bigger than the Meg, but their diet is a little easier to maintain. Blue whales can coast along and scoop up all kinds of tiny fish, but the Megalodon needs a much heartier meal. These creatures feasted on very large fish and smaller shark species, but this wasn't always easy to come by. Scientists have confirmed that a lack of food was one of the main causes for the Meg's expiration, but it's also possible they drove other creatures towards their extinction too. This means that if the Megalodon was still patrolling our oceans today, there's a good chance that it could decimate an entire species. The large fish and sharks that are quite easy to find today might not have made it if the Megalodon was still consuming them on a daily basis. Megs consume about 11,000 kilograms of food on a normal day, so you can only imagine how tough it would be for some of these creatures to keep their population numbers out of the danger zone. The competition for food would also be much tougher in today's day and age. With far more great white sharks roaming the earth now than there were thousands of years ago, it's likely they would beat the Megalodon to the front of the food line. Great whites are smaller and would likely be targeted by the Megalodons, but they are also much quicker and far more nimble. This would give them a head start when it comes to hunting the large fish the Megalodon craves. It would make things pretty difficult for the prehistoric giant. Now, while a strict diet would likely cause some problems for the Megalodon and other creatures that are living in the same ecosystem, a human threat could also make things very tricky for the Meg. With this creature being so big, it's very likely they would get caught up with human technology. They could easily damage deep-sea exploration vessels if they wanted to, and oil rigs could be in for a nasty impact if the shark decided that it didn't like seeing them in the water. This could result in some scary natural disasters if important equipment was damaged and any harmful substances leaked into the ocean. The other worrying idea to think about would be poachers wanting to get a piece of the Megalodon for themselves. It's quite obvious that so many people want to find the Megalodon in today's world that could only mean they would be a hot commodity on the black market. We all know that shark fins are a very popular item in the illegal animal trade, and it's pretty much a guarantee the Megalodon would be the #1 seller. Although there would likely be rules put in place to prevent people from doing this, there's always people who find ways to break the regulations and do it anyway. It's a very sad reality, but it's something that would more than likely be inevitable. Another major question that needs to be asked here is where would the Meg actually live? While it spent a lot of its time in shallow waters close to the shore, changing conditions might have made it tricky to stay here in the modern era. This is also one of the many reasons why so many people are convinced that the Megalodon is in fact still alive. It likely would have retreated into deeper waters. It's a very interesting topic to think about, but adapting to deep sea life isn't as easy as swimming to the bottom and just calling it a day. As we all know, the deeper you move into the water, the stronger the pressure gets. Megalodons were not able to handle the immense pressure of the deep sea thousands of years ago, but it is possible for creatures to adapt to new environments. Creatures evolving into different forms or moving into new ecosystems is nothing new, but the Megalodon would have to make some drastic changes. Lugging all of that bulky weight around in places like the Mariana Trench would be no easy task. This is why it would be hard for the Meg to find anywhere to live. The shallow waters just aren't what they used to be, and the deep sea would call for some serious changes to the shark's body structure and how it would be able to handle the pressure. The terrible reality of pollution would also make things tricky for this prehistoric shark to adapt to any type of living conditions, whether it be in shallow waters or the deep sea. And of course, we can't forget the fact that the Megalodon would more than likely enjoy the taste of human. Although great white shark attacks are pretty rare, they will not hesitate to take a bite out of a human being if they feel like it. These are some of the deadliest predators in the world after all, so it's not too surprising that they will eat pretty much anything in sight. So if the great white shark has no problem hunting humans from time to time, it's quite possible the Megalodon would also want to do the same. The only saving grace a person would have is that they would see a Megalodon coming long before they manage to spot a great white. The threat, however, would still be looming, and if the Meg did manage to survive in today's shallow waters, this would cause some serious problems. Issuing a Megalodon warning at the beach sounds pretty ridiculous at first. This would likely be reality if they still existed today. And even though the Earth's changing temperatures would be tough to handle, it could actually play right into the Megalodon's hands. If oceans continue to heat up, this could actually help the Megalodon reproduce in numbers, and that would obviously cause a ton of problems. It would be hard enough trying to control one Megalodon, but if a pack of them arrive near the shore in search of food, it could end up being a catastrophic event. And that wraps up our look at the Megalodon and how it would fare in today's day and age. It's quite clear why these behemoths went extinct, and these challenges would only get tougher in the modern world. Thanks as always for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you all next time.